Yes, my G's, how you guys all doing? Welcome to the end game base, the end game Serum 2 base, the final boss. Here is an absolutely dope base that I made today. I completely made it, well, I want to say by accident, but every sound I make is by accident, really. But it was actually one of those days today where I felt really unmotivated. I don't have... I'm quite a motivated individual, but I do have some days where I'm just like, oh no, I don't want to do anything today. I just want to lie around in the sun or lie in bed and just do nothing. And I was like, I've got to force myself to do a bit of sound design today at least. And I didn't think anything would come of it really, but then I ended up making the best Serum bass that I've made so far, baby. It sounds like this. So I've actually called it the end game bass, and that great movement you've got in the sound is coming from the detuning between these two wavetables. This -2 semitones here really makes all of the wonderful difference. And you've also got a great use of the bode mode, the bode effect as well, which gives all that kind of those extra stereo harmonics, right? So let's break it down, my G's. Let us break it down. I'll probably put this one up on Patreon as well, this preset. But yeah, I'll try to explain what I've done in a loose kind of way. So yeah, starting off with the triangle, position 3 here. Randomization off, no unison on the triangle. And we will FM some things into it momentarily. But yes, it's actually -2 octaves and also -2 semitones. And it's going to detune with this one, because this one is at 0 semitones, but only -1 octave, so it's 1 octave higher. And yeah, this one is the oomph on the S2 digital tables, I believe. Yeah, the oomph. And yeah, it's got a lot of movement on. So there's actually only one LFO in the patch. It's quite simple. LFO1. It's kind of like a saw down with a little bit of a extra shape to it. You know, a little bit of a knee, perhaps. Yes, yeah, that was a good word, wasn't it? Got that one right. Yeah. So that LFO is tweaking. It's tweaking the wavetable position from 22 up to, I like it, it tells you here, doesn't it? Normally it tells you. Oh, you have to click it like that. From 22 up to 115, so 36%. And again here, it's also tweaking the fine tuning a little bit. So the fine tuning is set to like -10 and it goes up around 11% or so. Yeah, it's very, very subtle, that one. But as you notice here, we've got like 4 wonderful effects. You can't hear anything, actually, if I turn those off, because the level of oscillator B, I should have mentioned, is actually down. So it's only being used as a carrier into the triangle wave, right? So, bit of noise on it. And, well, I should do it the other way around, really. If I take these guys down first, right, and then I can do my magic where I go back like that. This is not turning out well because I need to put the noise in first. Let's put the noise on and then I'll talk about the FMs, right? So the noise, also the level down, it's just the ARP white, okay? All right, so the noise is on. That's the important thing. Right, now, now I'll turn these all down and then I can undo things and show you one at a time. So firstly, the triangle with a bit of noise FM'd in. PD, the phase distortion FM, it's like the kind of smoothest one I find. 33%, you get a little bit of that noise coming in. Now, the PD from B, 42% or so. That's really where all the magic happens. Basically, yeah, you've now got you've actually got, like, what was I going to say? Oh my goodness, what is going on here? I've ruined my plan of teaching. My teaching plan has been ruined. Oh no, oh no. There we go. But I'm just messing around. Basically, you got the FM from B going into A at 42%, so you can actually finally hear the B coming through into the A. But you've also got a bit of PD going from A to B. And also a bit of noise on the B, which is interesting actually, because what it basically tells you that's happening, and remember, because the level of this one is off, but the PD from A is actually having an effect. So what that tells me is that Serum decided that the audio would go, the PD from B would go into A, and you'll be able to hear the multiplication of the oscillators. But even though I put the A into B and there's no output of A, it still changed the sound, which means that it went into A and then it came back into B again via that PD. That's how I'm figuring it out, basically. Because realistically, I would have thought that like you'd have to have the level up to hear the PD from A on the B, but you actually hear it. It actually has an effect, So it tells me that it's rerunning itself through the FM into A again, almost. So you can actually hear the result of what's happening, right? It's a bit crazy, right? But that, without going too further down the rabbit hole of musical nonsense, you can see how I've set it up, and that's how I achieved the sound, okay? That is explained in a very long-winded way, but that's how it looks. All right, so next, wonderful filtering. I've just used one filter over on this time. The band reject started about 67 hertz going up to 644 hertz, and the width also gets variated. The band reject filter is great because it opens and closes how wide the notch is, and that sort of goes from 24 to 48, and then also the drive is very high, 36%, and that really makes the sound much more complete and really kind of tidies it up as well, because before it's a bit sort of rumbly, like it didn't quite have a tightness to it at all yet. It's kind of a bit of a distorted mess at the beginning, but the filter has kind of got rid of that sort of messiness that was in the sound. And yeah, the width is makes a big difference as well. It almost has this effect of like a high pass filter sweep at the beginning. Like this kind of, it's almost like a quick little high pass sound effect, But as you can see, that's already most of the way there now, that bass. As I achieved that, I was already really happy at this point, basically. And then I just went on, as I usually do in the effects, to just enhance things. And like I mentioned before, the bode was really the key to this sound, to enhancing it. So I've turned the blur all the way up. I've got a bit of not movement, but I've adjusted the range and the shift slightly. One slightly to the right, one slightly to the left, and the direction as well, because these all just change, like where the kind of stereo harmonics of the bode is like sitting in the stereo field, like kind of where it sits, and also the tone, how it sounds. And the blur is all the way up, as I mentioned, and then I just mix the amount. It goes from 15% up to around 36% or so on the LFO. So it starts up with more of the bode like stereo effect, and then comes back. It kind of backs off, Wonderful stuff. Then a chorus. I've done a bit of filter movement on the chorus as well, because I love the chorus. I kind of prefer the sound of the chorus in Vital still. But I like the low pass filter effect on the chorus that you've got in Serum. So it starts off around 1,300 hertz and goes back to the left to like 137 hertz. So, but it's sort of, it starts at the low point. So it's like starting low pass and then opening up essentially. But yeah, it's nice. It's sort of like low pass filtered effect in the chorus, but then mixed in again. 27%. So you don't hear that low pass effect as much. I mean, as if you had the mix up. But having it in that sweet spot, it gives you extra dynamic movement into the sound, which is like quite subtle to notice, but it definitely is in there. A lot of the effects that I do are just like one subtle layer of dynamic interest at a time to stack things up to slowly and gradually build more life into the sound. Next is a filter, subtle little one here from 66 hertz up to 172 on the LFO. Little peak notch kind of filter thing. Just little dipping out of the low end a tiny bit with a bit of movement, just for tightening up the sound again, you know, subtly. Flanger again for the flanger squad, 10%. I have toyed with the character of the flanger first. I toyed with the depth, the feedback, and the phase till I liked it, and then I brought it right back down to 10%. The dimension, I toyed with the size. I got it to 14%, and then I took the mix to 12. The hyper is not being used, but the dimension. Oh, I should probably turn that on. That would help. There's lovely extra stereo voices. But yeah, just a little bit again. Next, the low-high splitter. I've also done this one quite subtly this time because the bass was already really fat even before the effects, you know. So I didn't really have to do too much craziness. So it's only 5% of distortion in the high end, over 1,000 hertz on the diode too, 33%. Is the Lord's number, the 33. But that's actually divinely chosen there. 5% only though. It's very, very subtle, right? You can just about tell there's an extra bit of brightness to the sound, and then I tucked away. I put the sound to bed with a little tucked him under the covers. By basically taking down a little bit around 767 hertz, because you can kind of see in the equalizer, you can kind of see this point here where it kind of all kind of crescendos a bit around this area, like a bit of a King of the Hill moment where you'd put the flag on top, capture the flag. But basically, I didn't like it. I wanted it to be more even, so I took some out there. I didn't like how it was trying to be different. I wanted it to conform, you know, conform to society a bit more, for goodness sake. Why won't you just conform? So yeah, 725. A little bit of conformity across the frequency range. That's what we want. Nice and controlled and wonderful and yes, nice and centered and powerful and yes, nice and bureaucratic, red tape, that kind of stuff, you know, lovely. End game bass, that's it. That's the end game bass done with a little magical, with a musical touch. I had a teacher called, I won't say his name, but he was a legend. Can I say his name? I don't know. I had a teacher at school in music, and he used to have this little catchphrase at the end of like he gave us like a task to compose something on the piano, and then he would say that you have to do it with a slight musical touch, and this is how I've lived my life since then. So basically, I put a little sidechain to the kicks, so you can have it again with the beat if you like. But I love that bass. I think it's my favourite one so far. It's a fat one. Anyway, I hope you guys learned a bit about sound design today. Thank you for all your support on the channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share the video with your friends and all that kind of good stuff. May I quickly remind you as well, if you want any preset packs for Serum, I've got one excellent preset pack for Serum 2 up on my website, and I've got loads of presets for Vital and Faceplant as well. If you want any production lessons, I can go deeper into Serum with you one-on-one, or we can learn, or I can teach you about other things in music production, mixing and mastering, and or potentially just work on a track of yours together. I also have mixing and mastering services available. The best way to reach out to me is always via email. Linked down below. I can check out your track before you make a payment for mastering as well. If you're not sure if it's ready, I'm happy to have a look over your work if you're thinking about mastering a track with me. I also have a wonderful community on Patreon. Thank you to all of you who've been supporting me throughout the years. We have a great Discord community. There's lots of other things on Patreon in the lower tiers which do not have Discord access, such as free presets and samples and little exclusive videos as well. But the magic of the Patreon lies in the Discord community. So come along and join us on there if you want to level up along with the others and get feedback on your tracks. Join our daily chats, join our group masterclasses, our feedback live streams. Lots of stuff always going on throughout the month. Great place to be. And finally, as well, I think that's it actually. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for today. More from me soon. Much love.